Hello there, Steve here in Sydney. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Emilio's latest letter describing what happened to him in under 12 school and the religious education, its effect on him. And I'd just like to say that it doesn't happen to everybody, and we try and figure out why. It looks like some people's personality predisposes them toward taking damage, and it's never their fault. It's the important thing we have to realize, that at that age at school you don't even know what a personality is. You are just you. And for example, your personality is a physical thing you inherit from your parents. It's typically an amalgam of mum and dad, and you may not know that, for example, you're susceptible to frightening suggestions, because you have an artistic personality. You have a very vivid imagination that's easily triggered, and you dwell on things way too much. You think about them too much. This is a common problem in a lot of people, and they need to be told this sometimes. Say, for example, if one has an artistic personality, one can dislike authority, one can be highly creative, and one can be prone to feelings of inferiority, and that's a biochemical bias installed in you at birth, and you're not even aware of it. It's part of you and you don't know. So along comes these ideas, these lurid suggestions to you that for impure thoughts you could end up in hell. This could be happening to someone, it probably is happening right now to someone in a fundamentalist school, possibly a lot of people. And what if you think, you have a natural tendency to think you're inferior, not so good as other kids, not up to scratch. It comes with the artistic personality. And you have this other tendency to dwell on things way too much, take them to heart way too seriously. That's oversensitivity, which is common in about 1 in 6 people. Tendency to overdo things and overthink things can end up giving you, if you're given these lurid, punishing suggestions, like Emilio talks about, that you're going to hell because you're no good, your impure thoughts are going to take you there, and it fuels your own traumatic stress disorder. Your own thought processes can lead you down this rabbit hole where you can give yourself practically a nervous breakdown. You can become very dysfunctional. This doesn't happen to everybody. It wouldn't happen to people who are lazy, thoughtless, don't care. It's kind of fascinating, isn't it? That your own attentiveness to what the teachers say and what the books say can actually be your own undoing and end up becoming a torture rack for you. So just imagine some people are going to be a lot more susceptible than others if they've got this personality that simply predisposes them toward overthinking, being overly impressionable to start with, having a florid imagination, taking things too much to heart, too seriously, such as insults, and dwelling on them for weeks and months. That's another tendency in a lot of people with artistic personalities. And of course you don't tell the child that's doing all this. The child doing this has no idea it's got this personality, and then you couple this situation with this photographic mindset, this tape recorder mindset, where you just obediently lap up all data put in front of you, whatever the teacher says, whatever the book says. It's the way your brain is working until you're about 12. So it's a recipe for potential disaster in some people, and Emilio definitely has been a casualty, and it would seem there's large numbers of these people being produced continuously by the US school system. The other thing that Emilio talks about is, you may have seen the movie Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. going to Mars, all that business, memory implants, remember that? One of the themes of that story was that you are your memories, your beliefs. Beliefs are what you defend, Emilio says. Theories are things that you just kick around, but beliefs you perceive as part of yourself and you defend them, you see. So that's all stored in your memory, that your self-perception is what you know and what you believe. And you might come to the point where you see the whole belief system is toxic to you, as he did when he was about 12, 13. He saw this very frightening movie. He's an impressionable young man, takes it all fairly literally, doesn't question it much. But the conclusion he comes to is the whole belief system he's got in his head is toxic to him. It's doing him a lot of damage, and he's got to literally throw it overboard just to survive. But there's a problem with that. There's a huge wrench of throwing away your entire identity, everything you've ever believed in, and you're faced with the abyss. Equally traumatizing. If I take away Santa Claus, which is bound to Christianity, what's left of me, myself? I'm just a walking memory implant. Basically, he's saying that's all I am. So great trauma there during the wrench, the walk away from all this stuff, and not knowing where you're going because there's nothing charted for you where you're headed, away from this toxic belief system that's assaulted you since you've been at school. Here we have the making of a skeptic, well delineated. We also notice so toxic was the belief system that he had, that having thrown it overboard and become an atheist skeptic type of person, he was still so deeply traumatized that the very word itself is anathema to him. The word believe, he cannot say it by itself. As a standalone word, it can't exist for him. He has to put the word I don't believe. He has to keep saying I don't believe, I don't believe. He's been so traumatized by the process of believing what he was told. So he renders himself, protects himself against another toxic experience of believing anything. So you say, I don't believe that, I don't believe that, I don't believe that, I will not believe. So it just goes to show a single word can cause, he can become so phobic about a single word. It's most noteworthy, and we see this all over the internet. We see this all over the internet. And is it because people have been damaged by toxic belief systems inculcated into them before the age of 12? Certainly is food for thought, eh? These traumatized people seem to be walking around everywhere, all over the internet.